Welcome back, everybody, to another Two Tamers Talk. Basil's back.
Yep.
Right before the holidays.
Yeah.
So if you're watching this on the day it comes out, you got about 24 hours to finish your shopping.
Merry Christmas.
Absolutely. Hope you get some Digimon in your stocking.
Yeah, a little BT-14 blister.
I can only imagine I'll have some in mind because that's all my kids know that I want.
That's good.
I buy everything that I kind of want every now and then. So
that's true.
It's aside from big things.
Every time I come over, you're like, got to get the mail. Card's coming. And you're like, I'm like, what is it? And you're like, I don't know.
Yeah.
This is always something.
It's a collector's OCD. I need the pre-release cards. Mostly, my mail lady knows when there's a new set that drops because I order all the pre-release cards they can't acquire at locals.
Yeah.
So they just kind of all flood in over a week.
Mm-hmm.
You know. How you been, man?
Good. Ultimate Cup format is in the rear view, and Nationals is we're full. We're taking it on.
Fast approaching.
Our first task has been figure out Anubismon.
Yeah.
And so that's what we've been working on. It's a very unintuitive deck.
Mm-hmm.
I think most people's intuition is, oh yeah, play Mervamon for 2, and then that's it.
Yeah.
And that is, I think, the main strategy. But there's a lot more that you can do. And so we've been testing around with it.
Yeah, I tuned in on some of the testing.
Yeah,
it's a really interesting deck.
It's one of the front runners for decks I'm going to play because I mean, obviously it's incredibly strong. It dominated Japan. And so we're just we're going to pick them off one by one until we find the one that we think has the best chance of winning.
Yeah, and you have what, like month and a half, something like that?
Yeah,
coming up on it.
It's the last weekend in January, and so
it's the weekend like right after EX5 comes out, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
So you only have the physical cards for just a short time, and then go play in the biggest tournament of the year with them. So we'll see.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what you end up playing because I know you have quite a few.
There's
decks.
a lot of considerations right now.
And then there's always that last 24 hours where you're just like, do I just play Bloom?
I'll just play Machine Dramon.
There you go. I mean, it won the regionals we went to,
yeah,
and we didn't expect to see it that much.
Good deck.
So, very good deck. Yeah,
what about you? What do you got going on?
I'm not going to Nats, but I'm definitely paying attention to a lot of the stuff going on in Japan right now because, you know, you go through these cycles with the new sets. You get the reveals, and then you get the alt art reveals, and then like a week later it drops in Japan. So we have about 6 days from recording this, I think, before it actually drops in Japan. And then we start
BT-16.
BT-16, yeah. So I'm excited to see
what actually
starts happening because you can start seeing there's a couple sites that post their like local store tournaments and what's topping, and the biggest one, and we were talking about before the pod, was that Magna X.
Yeah, Armor Rush just the best deck now?
Is it just by default because that card is so powerful and so strong? So I'm really curious to see what people do with that. I'm curious to see what people do with a lot of the new cards out of BT-16. I really like this new era when a new generation of cards is revealed because obviously we have our own meta. We have our own things that top here, but it is cool to see in advance what people over there are excited to just swing with out of the gate.
Yeah, it's true.
You know? See how they analyze the meta and then see how it shakes out too. Yeah. Because it's like here, you know, it's like when this set just came out, you know, you saw a lot of Fenrils being played, and then you see it kind of just shake down to the bottom and, you know, not necessarily the bottom, but, you know, just not represented as much as it was.
Yeah, it's true.
Because if I was going to be a betting man at a BT-16, I would play Armor Rush.
Yeah, for sure.
Because that card is insane.
That card is
very
strong.
You never know how it works out. It might shake down. You never know.
It might be a Shakumon sweep.
God, I hope not. But we'll see.
Armadillo Armor Rush all the way.
Yeah. So yeah, we had some big stuff happen this week. We had that ban list happen. We're going to get to that. Stay tuned. You're going to have to wait for that because we also have some more regionals.
Yeah.
We had the second of the California regionals for this
TCG,
quarter.
Yeah.
Core TCG did one in Los Angeles. We kept saying Pasadena, but this one was in LA.
Yeah, we flew into Burbank. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, I'm talking about
California.
The second one was in LA, not Pasadena.
They're all the same.
Yeah.
So it's SoCal.
Dude, the Californians are going to light you up, man.
I'll see you at Nats. All your cities are all the same.
All right. So let's jump into we'll do the representation first.
Sure.
So interesting archetypes because this will be a top 16. We have 4 Mirage, so not
kind of a mirror of EU nationals.
Yeah. 2 Red Hybrids, 2 Royal Knights.
Mhm.
Interesting that kind of made a surge back. I thought
True.
that was kind of falling back a little bit.
No new support for that deck.
Melga, Yellow Vaccine.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting to see one of those sneak into the top 16.
Yeah,
because we had some varied results with the last tournaments we saw. Black War Grey X, that's never a surprise to see in the top 16. Blue Flare, one
ever
machine,
present,
and one alpha.
One alpha snuck in there. Yeah, it's really cool.
It's really, really cool. I like the variation. I think that's really good. I think it's really good for the game. It's really good for the format. It's great representation, and
I think it's pretty clear that Mirage is cementing itself as, if not the best deck in this format, the most consistent for sure. The training cards make it completely ridiculous.
The new egg.
As well as the new egg.
Yeah.
And then just the new blue support in general. I know a lot of decks are playing that Gomamon and the Zudo Ace.
Yeah.
Very good cards. But other than that, it's sort of like pick your favorite top tier deck and bring it because it has a chance to sneak into that top 16. Obviously, Red Hybrids is still strong. Royal Knights not getting any more support is strong. Shine with the new restriction is still strong. And then all these other decks still got a shot because they're all good.
Well, let's jump into the top 3. Let's jump into the winner.
Yeah, the Red Hybrids with our boy Bukamon.
As if the deck didn't go fast enough as it was.
It's pretty interesting because basically the deck was play a bunch of Flamemons. You would see either the Boko or the Nemon at various intervals. And then the very occasional Solarmon.
Yeah.
But in this case, they're opting for the Bukamon, which I think is even better given the new egg, because the old egg was on deletion if you have a red Tamer draw one. So that wouldn't really work with the Bukamon because you don't really want to swing with it. You just kind of want to sit it out there and gain that extra memory.
Yeah.
But the Garurumon's going to activate off of your Tamer swinging while you have the Bukamon just kind of sitting there. So that's really strong. Other than that, it's kind of the same as the lists we've seen. They're all adopting Gravity Crush, which I think makes a lot of sense. They are adopting that one of Metal Gray Ace pretty commonly, which is really cool.
Yep.
Interesting thing about this list, they're just going with the 4 new Emperor Greymon, none of the old one.
Yeah.
Which is pretty interesting because I think usually you will always see this one at 4, but then always see 1 or 2 of the Blitz one.
Yeah. Obviously the good Aldemon.
But everything else is pretty standard with the Flamemons, the good Aguni, and the good Burning Greymons, and then that Aldemon.
Yeah, I like opting for the Bukamon memory gain rather than the Bukamon. Essentially Digivolve for free kind of thing.
The Bukamon is good. Obviously, still warrants an inclusion in there, but that Bukamon, I think people are really starting to catch on to that. It can go in just about any aggressive strategy.
Absolutely, and it doesn't get more aggressive than Red Hybrids.
Yeah, for sure.
Number 2, we had a Melga get in there.
MetalGarurumon, a deck that a lot of people just kind of have kind of put into the EX5 waiting room.
Yeah.
But this player did not think so. If you haven't, they have a video detailing this deck in excruciating detail
on why they went with these choices.
On every single choice, because there are some that at first glance don't make a lot of sense. The first is promo Garurumon at 3. And the biggest reason is they didn't want to have a mandatory draw versus Mirage.
Smart.
And so that makes a lot of sense. The next thing that a lot of people were really confused at was the on-playware Garurumon, the BT7.
Yeah.
And the reason is we're not really playing it for 7 other than to go into the Melga Ace.
Usually costs 5. Just like the Metal Gray from the same set. Yeah.
Correct. But we're never reducing costs because we don't have any blue Tamers.
Yep.
But it's mostly for that inheritable of gaining that memory.
Yeah. I really love the ST2.
Yeah, and then the ST2 Metal Garurumon. Obviously, 11K is pretty weak, but with the Bukamon, the jamming egg, it does not matter at all.
Swings twice.
And it swings twice. And
just like it always did years ago.
I do want to mention the thing about this deck that I want people to take note of is the Omnimon split is 1, 1, and 1.
Interesting.
In the video, the player said, I didn't use Omnimon Merciful Mode a single time.
In 9 rounds,
Probably. In 8
or 9 rounds. Yeah.
And this is my advice to players is Omnimon Merciful Mode is one of the biggest bait cards in the entire game.
Yeah.
And the reason that I think that is it doesn't do anything to advance your game state. It just hinders your opponent's game state.
Yeah.
And for a level 7 that costs 6 memory almost every time you're playing it, you really want that to be a really impactful card that's winning you the game.
Yeah.
I think Omnimon Merciful Mode, unless the EX5 format is as purple as people think it's going to be, I would steer away from that as your level 7 of choice.
Yeah, and I would say, because a lot of people will look at it and be like, well, the trash to deck thing, and I would say that is kind of a
it's bait.
20-20-60 split, where 20% of the time it's the best thing, 20% it's the worst thing in the world, because you don't want to do it against certain decks, and then 60% of the time,
it's useless.
Who cares?
Yeah.
It's a green deck. You know,
yeah,
it
right.
doesn't
We're
matter.
never going to the bottom anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. So
it's
interesting.
That's
no,
my
I
take
agree.
on Merciful Mode. It seems appealing, but a lot of the times it's like, God, I wish this was a second Blitz Omni.
I love the just the thought of, since they get to abuse this new egg for a little bit, swinging twice with that ST2 MetalGarurumon, and then swinging one more time with the Omni, you know, like just being real big hits at security in one turn, all with jamming, because that stack gets huge.
Yeah, this list is cool. I'm glad that this list, or that Melga can see competitive success, even just with the pure blue base and only that one promo-ware Garurumon.
Yeah.
Very cool.
All right, and then we have the Royal Knights list, which I found really interesting because there was one thing that you pointed out that I'll let you talk about, but I really like the aggressiveness of the Crimson Blaze. This is something we only saw in some decks in BT13.
It wasn't as useful of a card in that format.
Yeah, but now with the resurgence of D-Brigade, Jessmon's full power again, I think that this player really saw the importance of that card in this format in particular. Running 4 of the Marcus, too. Very, very strong.
Yeah,
very aggressive against D-Brigade. Very aggressive against a lot of those those Rookie Rush decks. Or the Bukamon. A lot of people are playing Bukamon, so you want to get rid of it. So being able to drop that and pop the Bukamons from your opponents is very counter-meta from what I'm seeing.
Yeah, this is a pretty defensive Royal Knights list, which is cool. We're opting for the extra Craniumon from the BT3, as well as, like you said, those Crimson Blazes and that Master Disciple. It's obviously a good card because it searches Royal Knights, which is your whole deck. But what I didn't realize is it also has the Royal Knight trait. So it activates your eggs inheritable. So you play it for 2 and then gain potentially 3.
Because the eggs are gain memory, not
reduced cost, right? So it doesn't just work with that Royal Knights of the Purge. It works with the Master Disciple as well.
Yeah, so really, really cool. Third place. Congrats to all 3 of these players. I mean, it was a really interesting representation, especially in the top 3. Really surprising to see Melga sneak in there, Royal Knights sneak in, because we didn't see a lot of representation for this at our particular regionals that we went to.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, awesome. Great job, guys. Ooh. All right.
And the only sad thing, the last thing we'll say about that regional is that is the BT14 regional done.
Yeah.
There's not another one.
Yeah.
We'll see in EX5.
Yeah, there was only one. Yeah. And then we'll have regionals and ultimate cups eventually with the same rules.
Yeah, there's going to be a few ultimate cups with the
EX5.
Restricted format plus EX5, and then the next wave of ultimate cups are going to be open regular format
rules. Yeah. Yeah, well, it'll be interesting to see how long they keep that up, or if people start calling for more custom stuff. I want to see more 3v3s.
Yeah,
I want to see if they could do a full 3v3, like rent out a thing and do like a regionals.
That's the only event that they run.
I think it'd be really fun.
That'd be awesome.
Well, I'd be there.
I'd be there for sure.
Especially with those cards.
Yeah.
Or even if they introduce new cards. So, because they picked some bangers for those.
They did.
With the Metal Gray and the Black War Gray. It looked really cool. Well, should we talk about the hot button topic?
Let's do it. We've kept them waiting long enough.
All right. So ban list is here. And I know we're not first to the market with our ban list reactions, but I think everyone has different reactions because everyone plays different decks and everyone has different knee-jerk reactions to what happened.
I was completely gobsmacked by this restricted
As
list.
was I.
I did not. I predicted, if you guys remember or played before last Nationals, you know that that was just about as close to a Tier 0 format as the game has been since I've played. Black War Gray X was completely dominant. It was over half of top 32 at Nationals. The deck it was just so disgusting with that Greymon. And people were really expecting an aggressive ban list. Yeah. They were expecting that Greymon X to be restricted.
Cool Boy.
People were expecting Cool Boy to be restricted. People were expecting the X antibody option to be restricted.
Yeah.
People were expecting like Hades Force to be restricted, or the Metal Greymon X or something more.
Yeah.
And then the ban list dropped, and it was Greymon X end of list.
That's it. Yeah.
And people were pretty frustrated at the time, but with the benefit of hindsight, it was completely right.
Yeah.
Which was interesting because I think Cool Boy is like, God, it's a 2-cost tamer that gains a bunch of memory. It draws a million cards. Searches too. Yeah. Like, it's just like, get this card out of here.
Yeah.
But then looking back, it's like, well, the X antibody archetype has really fallen off in recent memory. So my expectation was specifically going into Nats, it's going to be a very small ban list. It's going to be just Garurumon X antibody, and that's it.
Yeah.
And I was wrong. I was completely wrong.
We were both. I don't think anybody called. This is like picking the Final Four, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Before the basketball season starts. Like, you're just...
Indiana, the University of Purdue, you know what I mean?
It's just like, impossible.
Nice.
And man, they swung hard this time because we had never seen an egg. We had never seen a secret.
True.
We'd only seen one level 6 restricted ever. And
it was a promo, not a SR.
So they swung for the hills. So I guess.
So what order do you want to go in, Jesse?
Let's start with the egg because I have a lot to talk about with this egg.
Sure. Let's start with lead us off with Bukamon.
Bukamon. Okay.
Poor Bukamon.
All right. It's probably the right call.
It's just it invalidates every other egg in blue.
It's an insane egg in that it synergizes with almost everything that the color does. The color strips a lot of sources and it bounces big bodies.
Yep.
So a lot of times you're going to be able to it's almost just free swinging with jamming. I'm glad they didn't eliminate it to 0 because it does create some very interesting future egg splits.
Yeah.
I've experienced that with kind of thinking forward for Ulforce. I know you're thinking ahead of time for Mirage. But I think by the time March 1st rolls around, which is when this ban list is active in the United States, I think that people will be sick of Bukamon and they'll be sick of seeing Ulforce swing 1,000 times with jamming, Mirage swing 1,000 times with jamming.
Well, I think Mirage is sort of the biggest culprit because I was thinking like, damn, Mirage is dominating like EU Nats and the regional we just had in North America, and I know it was doing strong in Japan before when they first got the training cards. And so my thought was, how are they going to tame Mirage again? Because I do think something needs to get hit. But hitting the BT11 Mirage would be killing the deck.
Yeah.
And so I think hitting the Bukamon egg is the way to go.
I think particularly in the fact that it's almost one free jamming swing right off the go, you know, because a lot of times your opponent will play a searcher. You know, on there, if you're turn 1, you promote that and you play a tamer or whatever, they'll just play a searcher, Digivolve in the raising, and that's all they have is something with one source. All you have to do is promote any level 3 and swing with jamming on your next turn.
Yeah.
It's pretty...
well as you swing with a level 4 with jamming, and then you get Zudo Ace. It's just crap.
Yeah.
Now what?
Yeah, it's just really oppressive, I think, and it'll be... Don't get me wrong, I'm going to play it. I'm gonna play it until I can't.
Yeah, I undervalued that egg at first, but I'm sort of starting to see the power of it.
Yeah. And I think that just moving forward with more, I think they want to do more with source stripping, obviously in blue, and they want to keep moving forward with that. And I think that this egg will end up just being toxic, but it's going to probably be a one of in almost every blue deck moving forward.
We're going to see a lot of 3-1 egg splits, I think, which is very funny.
That's what I'm planning on in
Yeah.
a lot of my blue decks. But I play a lot of blue now, and I really, really, really think that that's probably the right call for the meta
Yeah.
and just for the game in general, because they printed a really strong egg.
Yeah, they are printing keywords on eggs, and it's like the Garurumon was the first one, but altering your security is not something you can do necessarily every turn.
Yeah.
But you could always have jamming with that Bukamon egg.
Yeah. It's the equivalent of like giving Black War Gray a red egg that says, if this has more sources than anything, sec +1.
Yeah.
It's that huge for the
or
format.
Blitz or Raid or anything.
Any of those huge keywords.
It'd be too strong.
Yeah.
So what's next?
Next, let's jump into let's do the Melga stuff.
Okay.
So you start us off.
Yeah, well, we'll start with the level 4.
Okay.
Because I think this was everyone's like free space on the bingo card.
Yeah.
It's like, Garurumon X. It's a level 4 that says draw 2, pitch 2, and then gain 1.
That's strong. Yeah.
So you have basically like the Turbo Garurumon, the BT5. You have a Gabumon in sources, gain 1. They took that and they took Anubismon Scatter Mode and they put them into one card.
Yeah.
Not only did they do that, they printed it on one of the strongest and most supported archetypes in the game.
Yep.
As well as one of the most devastating color combinations in the game in blue and purple.
Yeah.
So basically, this for the same reason that they took Anubismon and put it in the banned and restricted list, is because it was the default.
Yeah.
Garurumon, as the bottom end, became the default in every purple deck.
Yeah.
People were playing it in Beelstar. People were playing it in Melga, obviously.
Yeah.
People were playing it in Apocalymon. People were playing it in Leviamon.
Yeah.
Basically, it was every purple deck was going to be take the Garurumon engine and put it in because that's the best draw and trash engine now.
Yeah. Which makes for kind of a toxic environment, I think.
Yeah.
Which we saw with the Anubismon stuff.
Yeah, it's the same exact thing.
If you guys have watched that whole generation of purple videos,
it's
the
like,
first
all
5
right,
cards are
Demimera,
pretty...
Gabu, Anubismon.
Yeah.
Okay, move. Now we can get into the deck.
Let's get into the deck now. Yeah.
And then the Gabu X
Yep.
is also insane. So we were talking about people were like, well, what about Agu X? And the thing is like the original Agu X is a very good searcher,
Yeah.
but that's it. No inheritable.
Yeah.
No effect other than the search. The new Agu X is very good.
Different color, though.
It's mono black.
Yeah.
Which is problematic for a lot of your level 4s.
Yep.
Its search is not very good.
Mhm.
It searches 3, grabs a Greymon or an X antibody in name, which is good, and then a black Tamer.
Yeah.
So it misses out on, the cool boys. It misses out on the red ties,
Yeah.
stuff like that. And it does have a protection inheritable, but only if you bottom deck an X antibody in sources.
Yeah.
The Gabumon, on the other hand, the Gabu X, is 2 color, Evos for 0 on a Gabu and a Suno.
Yeah.
And it has a better search. It searches 4, grabs any Garurumon or X antibody in name, and then adds 2 of them. So it can grab Garurumon and Garurumon X. It can add Garurumon and Garurumon. It can add a lot of
On and
different
on,
stuff,
yeah.
as well as then pitching one.
Mm-hmm.
So it just accelerates your hand way too much.
Yeah.
And a lot of people were like, oh, Melga's dead. I promise it's not.
It's not,
I
no.
promise it's not.
It has too many cards. Yeah.
It has a lot of very good
And these are all
cards.
just restricted, so you can still play one of and
Yeah,
still
I
get
mean,
that god
like
hand.
your bottom end is going to be 1 of the restricted and then 3 of the
Of the other one,
regular.
yeah.
And you're going to be perfectly fine from there.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, I think that's why people expected them to hit Cool Boys, because they hit 2 X antibody cards instead. They're just
Yeah.
like, no, we're just going to swing the bat
Well,
at
I
the
think-
actual archetype.
I think they want, like, there's new Alphamon and X antibody support coming with,
Yeah.
like, that Sons of Chaos Mind Link stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like other X antibody decks are just not nearly as strong as they once were.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Grandis has been taken out back, but Blackwork Greymon decks, you don't really see them run Cool Boys at. You
As
never
much.
see them at 3.
Yeah, it's always 2 or
It's
less.
2
yeah.
or 1,
Yeah.
or even 0 sometimes. The Melga deck that we even saw at the regionals only played the 2.
Yep. The
Um,
Alphamon deck that got in top
the
16
Alphamon
didn't
deck
play
didn't
any.
play a single one.
Yeah.
And we've got like Rosemon X coming. We've got Leviamon X coming. It'll be pretty interesting to see where Cool Boy fits into those.
Yeah, absolutely. We got Garurumon X coming.
Garurumon X.
Yeah. So we have 2 more, and the 2 more are the big ones for me.
Yeah,
because these were the unprecedented ones, I think. Because
I did not expect these, not even a little bit.
yeah, this is and Bandai released their own like press press release
Yeah.
saying, "Hey, we know this is a big swing. This is why we did it."
Yeah.
And so the first one is Anubismon.
Yeah, Anubismon.
Anubismon to 1.
Anubismon is, I think the problem with Anubismon is not only that it was dominating with the Mervamon,
Mm-hmm.
it's that, think of level purples with on plays, right? So there's just an amount of future proofing that's needed in purple to make Anubismon not ridiculous. People were already starting to play Anubismon Belphamon.
Yeah.
People were already starting to play Anubismon Leviamon.
Yeah.
And it's just basically any purple Digimon that has on play do something insane is just
Do it for
not
cheaper.
safe.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, people could play Lucamon Chaos Mode off of the Anubismon.
Yeah.
People could play anything. And so it basically was a card that was going to be too strong in purple forever.
Yeah.
And I think, even still, I think it's going to be a one of in a lot of purple decks moving forward.
I think so. Okay.
I think it's
Because
I don't
that's the
think
healthy way for them to do it, I think, is the fact that like it's still going to be a good tech one of, kind of like the Bukamon, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like you can still put it in. It's still good when you happen to draw it and find it.
yeah.
But other than that, like they don't want a whole archetype around it.
All of your purple Digimon that are on play and win Digivolving, especially in the 5 and 6 slot, you're going to throw that one Anubis in there.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily need to build an entire deck around it.
And we'll see. We'll have it for
We'll have it for Nats.
a month and a half, right? That's
Mhm.
EX5.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's sad because we're not going to get to really enjoy it as much as Japan did, and by enjoy it, I mean be toxic. With it.
With my preliminary testing with the deck, I can confidently say that was the right decision.
Okay.
That being said, I just want to say thank you to Bandai for letting me continue to have my Mervamon and my Ignitemon. Those
Yeah.
were, I think,
Those had to be on the short list.
people were because they're probably not going to restrict a secret rare. They're probably going to hit Ignitemon.
Yeah.
And I was like, because Crossheart is one of my favorite decks
Yeah.
with the Mervamon package. And I was like, no, it's going to be gone. But they did Anubis instead, which I think is the right call.
Cool. And now we get to the soup du jour. We get to the big one.
Mm-hmm.
The secret.
Yes.
They hit a secret.
They
hit. It's not just a secret. It's half of the archetype of that set.
Yeah. It's
wow.
It's dead.
Apocalymon.
It's dead on arrival.
Yeah.
It's insane. There's no way to play the Dark Masters deck in 10 days after it's out.
12.
12.
12.
Excuse me.
12. I believe it's 12. Yeah, it's you'll get probably 1, maybe 2 locals if your locals does it for that week.
Yeah.
And we'll see. I mean, it's really kind of I don't know. It's kind of a pour one out kind of thing because I really wanted to play with this because
it's a cool design.
It's a cool design. I'm an old school Mega Zoo player,
Mm-hmm.
and this kind of really scratches that itch as far as like alternative play style where you can pick any level 6 you want
Mm-hmm.
and get the on play. Like
Yeah.
that's super cool. And so it just opens the library of cards. You know, it's like
a lot of old, level 6s before they were doing on play and when digivolving just said on play.
and they were good because you had
Yeah.
to commit a ton of memory. Like look at the MetalGarurumon.
Yeah.
He digivolve their entire board and
Yeah.
do crazy stuff. Like, and then I think the Craniumon is what broke it, is what they said.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I have a friend who has played Yu-Gi-Oh for a long time,
Mm.
and we were Justin and I were talking about Apocalymon and blah 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 and whatever, and he's like, "Oh, what is this?" And so we kind of broke it down for him, and he's like, "Oh yeah, that has to go." And something they do in other card games is they will errata cards.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh yeah, they just have to errata it so that it can't tuck Craniumon."
Yeah.
Basically,
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't know the cards that well, but in any case, and it was just like, oh. But I don't think Bandai has ever had any inclination to do that. But that's what I think at most they were going to errata Apocalymon to say you can only tuck Dark Masters.
Yeah. And I think that would have been perfectly fine. The deck would have been playable.
No, I think it still would have been too strong.
You think so?
I do. I think because it's you play it for 3.
Yeah.
You tuck one more. Mill 8.
It's pretty good.
8 is kind of a lot. So
it's almost 20%.
So and then let's say they can't out a level 7, which
Happens.
it's a level 7. It's hard to out. They tuck one more, mill 10. So it's 18 cards. For those of you keeping score at home, you start with 40 cards in your deck because you have 5 in security and 5 in the hand.
Yeah.
So 18 cards out of the 40 that you have left is brutal.
It's pretty crazy, yeah.
And so then you just stack on can't be deleted by effects, blocker retell, piercing, etc., etc.
Digivolve your opponent's board.
Yeah, I mean it just gets out of hand too fast.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where I give credit to Bandai a lot. I think a lot of their decisions are great. I like their card game a lot. I play it a lot, etc., etc. But what were they thinking when they printed this card?
Yeah.
I have no idea.
It's essentially, it's that alternative win style is deck your opponent. We're going to give them a mill deck, but they did not think about the speed in which they were doing that.
No, it's just like it's sort of like the scenario when we have a deck like this is the same as like the first time I saw the Ultra S Jogress deck. I was like, that's the best deck they've ever printed.
Right.
And then you think about it a little bit more and you're like, this is like clunky as hell.
Yeah.
It's like hard to
it's so slow compared to like Black War Gray.
And it's just
stuff,
like this is like the Apocalymon thing is like the first time you see it, you're like, this is the best deck they've ever printed. And then it actually is the best deck they've ever printed.
Yeah.
And so it had to go, and the Mad Lads, they actually did it.
You think somebody got fired for that? I mean, you got to think about, this is my biggest concept on this, is the fact that how much revenue they're going to lose.
Oh, dude, their bottom line is
for that format.
It's the first Ghost Rare that they've restricted.
Yeah,
because that was the chase card was that low pull rate Apocalymon.
The Ghost Rares changed from English to Japan, so like they're just getting the Paladin mode in their next set. You know, so they might toss us a bone and throw in
like people
3 or 4 more Ghost Rares.
A lot of the big content creators, like I know Mario's Gaming World talked about it, where he's like, I opened 2 cases on pre-release.
Yeah,
and it's like, am I really gonna do that now?
No,
for
I don't
secret
think so.
Rare? It's just like, it's the same thing of like Shoutmon King version.
Yeah.
Like you pull that secret rare and your box is dead.
Yeah.
And it's like now, like how much value is Apocalymon really going to be as a hit?
It's not going to. I mean, because that's the biggest thing about the value in this game is rarity is not number 1 on the list for value.
It's playability.
Playability for sure.
Yep.
Absolutely. I mean, and the biggest like concept of that is like you can just look at the 2 starter decks that were released at the very same time. Look at the War Gray and the Melga starter deck. They both have Ghost Rares of their ace cards. One is 3 times as much as the other one.
Yeah, true.
Why is that? Same rarity, same set, same age, same everything.
But one card is very good and one card is fine.
And that's what Digimon is.
Yep.
You can buy a secret rare Omnimon from set 1.0 from 3 years ago, and it's $20, $25, whatever, because it's power crept out. People don't play it anymore.
Yep.
You know, it's we're in the still kind of the virgin years of this card game where people want to play the game and collect it, but collecting is secondary.
True.
So I think that set is going to be. I feel bad for the LGSs because I don't think that they're going to get it for any kind of reduced cost. I think that they're still going to have to pay their normal wholesale prices on it. But I think it's going to be like the RB set where they're going to have to try and break even on the set rather than, I don't think they're going to do well on the set.
Yeah.
Because the other cards in that set, they're good, but people were really looking, those Apocalymons were going to be like 10 times what the King Drizzles were.
Yeah,
the
and that's the thing is like you just have a lot of dead cards now, like the all of the Dark Masters and all of their level 5s. Kind of like, well, am I really going to play this in anything?
It'd be like in BT11 if they restricted the arena before the set came out.
Yeah.
There's half the value in the thing.
Yep.
Like, who cares? Old Force becomes a dead deck.
And now your big chase card is Galactimon.
Yeah, exactly.
Disaster. What's the other secret rare in 15? Melga.
Yeah.
Never mind. That's good.
Yeah.
That's going to be expensive now, I bet.
Yeah. Probably. It's worth it. It's the only reason to buy the box.
True.
I mean, if you're trying to go for collectability.
True.
So, I mean, I'll get the Ghost Rare Apocalymon just because I like the classic collection art. I've come to be fond of it.
Yeah, me too.
But it's sad. It's sad at the same time because they couldn't find a way to just fix it.
They had to do something.
But Bandai's not known
for one for every Dark Master.
Yeah, they're not known. I mean, they're known for rotting cards for sure.
Yeah, but not that way.
Not that way. Yeah, because there's so many different ways. People were calling for that with Mega Digimon Fusion and HBD. Like, can you just errata it so it's different? It's like they don't usually retroactively go back. They'll errata it before the set drops. Yeah, like in the EX3 shenanigans, disaster of EX3. But they don't retroactively change the way a card was designed.
It's true.
They'll just tweak something about it before it drops. But I don't know.
We'll cross that bridge when we get there, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, they just like to play with our feelings, man. We'll be in a super toxic format, and they're going to be like, hold the press, ban list coming in a week, and then it's one card.
Yeah.
And then this time we're like, oh, they'll hit 2 cards maybe, and
like,
it's 5.
Everything.
Egg, secret,
and you don't
7.
have it yet.
And you don't have it yet. Yeah.
Alas.
So, I don't know, man. It'll be okay. We'll get through that format. Can't promise we're going to open a case of that on the channel, but we'll do something. We'll do something for it for sure. And we'll play the hell out of it. Maybe we'll do a deck profile in those 12 days.
Yeah.
Like, this is
play this while you can.
Right now. I'll post it the same day we record it. Yeah. Well, you ready for cards of the week?
I am if you are.
I am. I'll go first.
Okay.
It's kind of a piggyback on last week. I've been having a lot of fun with my tricolored, I guess I'll just call it, security control.
Mm-hmm. With the red.
With the red, yeah. If you've seen the deck profile video, it's definitely not going to be out yet. But
it's coming.
It's recorded and it's coming out. So stay tuned in anticipation. If you guys know, I built black, yellow, purple, and messed with that for a while. Didn't get a lot of consistency out of it, but with this format coming out, I really wanted to fit in Crimson Blaze.
Mm-hmm.
So I did, and I found another really good red card in that kind of vein of security control cards as far as deleting your opponent's Digimon, and that is the Trident Gaia.
Mm-hmm.
We saw it in a Nats or
EU Nats kind of hybrid control deck.
Yeah. So if you guys don't know what this card does, it's right there. But it's delete your opponent's highest level or highest DP Digimon if it's a 13K or higher, trash their security.
Mm-hmm.
This format and previous formats, a lot of Quartzmon, Death X, a lot of cheeky players. I'm going to play Death X. Cool. Mm-hmm. I'm going to delete it and recover or trash security. So not only did I kill it, I pretty much got a free piercing check that doesn't do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Really cool. I like it in security control because, as far as I know, and I said this in the deck profile, I think it's the only security option or the only option that can pop out of your security and affect or trash their security on your opponent's turn.
I think so.
So it's really aggressive in the deck because I've been trying to make the deck go faster, so I don't go to time. I don't deck out, and even with security control, with 45 minutes plus 5 minutes overtime. If you don't win both games, you're probably going to tie.
Yeah.
So you either lose both, you win both, or you tie.
Yeah.
And it's really sped the deck up. I really like being able to have that happen in security and then just be that far ahead, especially considering the Tamers I play and having them at 3 security is really important.
Yeah.
So Yeah, it's a fun card. If you guys haven't messed with it, it's an old EX3, EX4 card. Yeah.
Yeah.
So not super old, but it's a card that I definitely glanced over because there was no EX4 pre-release because EX sets don't get pre-releases. So if it's a card you've glanced over and you're seeing a lot of big bodies or you expect to see them,
Toss it in there.
You got a lot of Alphamons, Wargreys coming at you. It's a fun one. Yeah. What do you got?
Well, I was not on the podcast last week,
Mm-hmm.
but I knew I had to make this my card of the week the next time I was on. It's Garurumon.
Okay.
If you didn't see the last week or the interview we did, I won an Ultimate Cup.
Yes, he did.
I played Garurumon.
He showed me the Crimson mode today.
Yeah, I got it in the mail. It's very nice. For those of you who are watching, come find me at Nats. I'll be trying to sell it. But Garurumon is a deck that has.
He's not going to have it on him at Nats, so don't come. Don't come shank the guy.
It's going to be neatly tucked away at our Airbnb, and if a vendor makes an offer, I'll bring it.
Yeah.
In any case, Garurumon is a deck that I really have fallen in love with. It was I was like, oh, it's the green Ghost Game deck, so I'll build it.
Yeah.
And then it really surprised me initially, and then it also performed super well in the Ultimate Cup.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited for the LM pack that we're getting sometime either in EX5 or BT15. I can't remember.
It's coming up early 2024.
With Garurumon Ace and a whole new line. I'm really excited for that. And it's just one that I'm always going to keep on me from now until forever.
It's earned its place in the satchel.
It's earned its place in the Basil satchel.
I love it. I love it. Well, guys, once again, happy holidays. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for joining us this year. We have one more episode this year to close us out, and it's going to be a fun one. We have some fun stuff planned. And, yeah, check out. We have so many deck profiles. They're coming out every other day, if not more often. I might try and squeeze some more in because we got to get them all in before EX5 happens. So if you haven't, make sure you subscribe and hit that bell because your phone's going to light up with brand new Digimon content almost every day, if not every other day, guaranteed. So we'll see you guys soon, and thanks for watching. We'll catch you next time.